Are we live? We're
Yeah.
live. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. This is Twist Gaming, where you get to play board games with us. This is our honest review section of our Spotlight stream, where we like to talk about the game that we just did a playthrough of. In this case, this week, we did Tyler Sigman's Crows by Junk Spirit Games. Super fun game. If you didn't have a chance, go check it out on the video on demand service if you're not watching live. And if you were watching live, where were you? It's fine. You could watch this too.
Yeah.
All right. So first and foremost, who are we? I'm Matt.
I'm Josh.
And we would like to point out that this stream and all of this week's streams are sponsored by Tyler Sigman's Crows by Junk Spirit Games, as well as Adventures in Zombiewood by Baskerville Productions.
Yeah.
So, spoiler alert. Josh beat the crap out of me.
I mean, it was close.
It ended closer than it felt at times.
Yes, it felt like I was a little bit ahead, but no, I did win both games. We played twice.
It got closer the second game. I will give
second
myself
game, there's
that.
a lot more going on.
So, we usually start this off where the winner takes us to their favorite aspects of the game first. So, Joshua, if you will.
I'll just first do a quick recap of the game. So, Tyler Sigman's Crows.
Right.
It's a 2 to 4 player game. It's a tile placement game, point collection, main mechanic, and kind of worker placement slightly. Because you place
you're placing your obelisk.
You're placing
down.
your one obelisk in a place.
Yeah.
Try to crap crows to it. So, and it's kind of like a Carcassonne tile laying game where it just kind of builds out. There's a small grid it starts with, but a checkerboard
pattern. I learned
which
that.
Matt just learned today.
Yeah, no, but it's a living board, so it kind of keeps changing in the way that it's laid out.
So, so we had that going on, and it has a couple little spells and stuff. And then we were talking with David. And he was talking about all the cool stretch goals they have to add some even more variants into the game.
Some unique variants to it, yeah.
So it was very quick. It was quick. We played 2 games in under 2 hours.
That's true.
And that's with rule explanation and us streaming it. So
exactly. So it's I believe he said it's roughly a 30-minute playthrough,
maybe 45-minute.
Depending on the type of players you're playing with, obviously, and how many players as well.
So. So we're going to start with what I liked about the game.
Yeah, what were your favorite aspects of the game?
I liked a lot of things about this game. There was...
I had a feeling that this is very much up your alley.
I like strategic games, but I don't want to overthink my... like, chess, I'm like, I can't think 5 moves ahead. I don't want... it's just too much mental load.
Right.
I like... I don't want to say it's mindless mental load. It's just... It's very simplistic.
Not quite as think as many turns in advance.
Like, I have to actually, think and hurt my head to think. Like, just all right, I'm doing math homework or something. Like, all right, I really have to think about this. Or it's like, all right, this is entertaining, fun. Figure out the puzzle.
Right.
And that's what this had a lot.
It's very interesting. Figure out the puzzle. I like that because it did have some puzzle.
How I played it was
elements.
always a puzzle. It was, where can I go to get the most points? All right, if I do go there, how much can the other player screw me up if I'm going first?
Right. And that's a huge mechanic, especially in a 2-player game.
Especially in a 2-player game, where if I was going second, it was, all right, how do I give myself the most points? But can I make my opponent get less points and me get a bigger gain over them?
Yeah, it's more about the differential.
Does it matter? Oh, I can get 10 points this way, but my opponent's going to get 12. Where I'd be like, I'm going to get 6 points this way, but my opponent gets 4.
Right.
Less of a point gain, but more of a point swing in my favor.
Exactly.
So it's that and that's on my phone, I have all puzzle games.
Yeah.
I play simple puzzle games that are just make me think a little bit, not crazy think. And this
falls into that category.
Falls into this category. It was quick. It was simple. It was very fluid. The rules weren't complicated. There were some rule issues with the prototype book.
But again, we have a prototype book. And we also don't have a quick reference guide, which is going to be included in the final production copy sitting in front of us as well, which would definitely help.
So, there's that. Otherwise, it was very straightforward to play. The spell cards were... I think the spells were interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting concept to
it. Yeah, you really... With a couple of the spells that you played... you really hit the nail on the head with the disperse card you played on that one turn is what really threw the game in your favor, I think.
Yeah, it was doing the right time. So I think you picked up how powerful the spells could be.
Yeah.
Because the first game you really didn't get any, and the second game we're like, oh, let's actually pick up some spells.
Right.
It wasn't much on the board to let us do it, but the first game where we were kind of, so there's a bunch of different tiles that do different effects. There's the Baron tiles, which have nothing on it, which lets you pick up a spell card.
Which is nice. You have a couple of crow spawn tiles.
You have a couple of crow spawn tiles. You have a cave tile, which
gives
attracts crows better.
It gives you tiebreaker, essentially.
It gives you tiebreaker, and there's also a higher point crow that gets attracted to it. And then there's there's a double point tile where you get double points if you're on it. There's like a blocking tile, which you can actually do some cool strategic moves, which
alter the board.
And I got to use it once or twice, but not to the effect I wanted to use them.
You know, I'd have to say the same thing with me. I think the concept's really there. I think it might just be the fact that we were in a 1v1 game, and we were kind of more wary of where our opponent could screw us up.
The first game, we didn't have many lava pools.
Mm-hmm. Well, the first game played wildly different than the second.
Well, first game, we had a lot of lava pools on the table. We had very few crows on the table.
Right.
And we didn't have a chance to actually use lava pools that much. Second game, we got more lava pools, but there were so many crows on the table, you couldn't use it anywhere.
Yeah, it didn't matter.
It was just like, half the board has crows on it. It needs to be an empty space.
Yeah.
So it didn't matter. And there's a couple unique situations. But no, I like how you have those kind of unique moves and unique cards, and I kind of forgot about some of them, and I was like, oh, I didn't think about if Matt had a cave, he can really screw up my move, which you did.
There's a nice diversity of spell cards and actual gameplay cards, and they actually, they're adding a few more as stretch goals as well. So it adds a lot more diversity to the game, and it prevents you from kind of being stagnant in your strategy. You kind of got to be a little bit more on your toes, which is very nice. I'm going to steal 1 second here and talk about the art for this game is absolutely gorgeous.
It's beautiful.
Like, it is so pretty.
It's black, white, and red.
Yeah, and, well, it's mostly gray, and I like that, because it's not a hard black and white. It's got a very, old-timey photography feel to it, looking as if it's a black and white portrait, so mostly gray. But then there's a lot of red interspersed in there as well to give it a little pop of color on the cards. But it's very cool. The crow theme is cute.
Yes. No, the artwork's really nice. Anything else you want to mention?
Well, personally, I think that it played very even, just because I felt like I was getting killed at some turns. And the game never really got too out of hand, except for the very end of the first game.
Yeah.
Where you I went for a little bit more desperate strategies. But the second game, you were consistently beating me by a few points every turn, and it felt like I didn't have any chance, and at the end I ended it, behind 6 points?
Yeah.
So
there's a couple times where you probably got more points than me, and it was a very back and forth kind of, and when I looked again, I thought that's what was going to kind of happen, a very back and forth kind of doing things.
I was personally surprised with how balanced it was, being both the first and the second player. I thought it was going to be a clear-cut advantage for the second player consistently.
Yes.
And it really wasn't, because first player gives you an opportunity for that one really prime location space.
But you have to be really worried about what second player is going to do.
Right.
But since second player can't get that prime space, they might not have any way to
counteract your
move.
So it actually... It was a lot more balanced than I anticipated it being, and it was... I really enjoyed the way that it was played. So, do you have anything else that you want to mention about the your favorite parts of the game?
I think the crow meeples are cool.
Yeah, I think that's a really cute touch.
The one thing which we did run into, I don't want to get into the next part. They are very cool, and I don't want to bring in the next part what we don't like, because they said they're making the tiles a little bit bigger. So when you get a giant pile on them, they fit on the the thing. And there's 4 actual different designs, so they didn't use just one crow maple.
I thought that was really cool. Is that there's a variety of different crow shapes, so it's not just cookie cutter
Yeah.
crows. So transitioning over,
Yeah.
what wasn't your favorite part of the game? What do you feel could have been improved upon?
The carrying space.
Okay.
I just
So
like
as,
I understood. So
as a
there's
reminder,
a carrying
that's
space.
the one space where it's the bones,
Little bones.
and there's a crow that spawns on it at the end of every round.
Yeah, and like it's a nice mechanic.
I didn't feel like it added much value.
Yeah, for the complicated extra step.
Right.
Of remember. I'm not saying that it's bad or anything. It's just, and actually, how the rules were, I thought the lava pit were the carrying spots, and that was sounded like they switched up terminologies, and the carrying spot made sense for the crows to stop at.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure why they stop at a lava pit. Maybe because it's really hot and it hurts their wings, and they want to take a break.
It's really like I could see them, stopping at the bones to pick those clean or whatever and eat.
Snack break.
Snack break.
Yeah.
But that was a minor thing. I do like how the lava pit. Like I like that mechanic of stopping.
Mm-hmm.
Even if this was what it was. It was a partial stop, like the lava pit. The lava pit was a complete stop.
So they couldn't ever progress past it?
Yes. I think that would be some interesting block points.
Hmm.
But that's more my theme or whatever. Like I'm not saying anything. Like it still worked. And it was still a fun game. It's just I never strategically went off of that's going to spawn one each turn.
Yeah, I feel like that might have been my biggest gripe too. Is when we got it barely in the first game. It was at the very end.
It never came up with the first game. Like it never spawned anything.
But the second game, I was rather excited when I saw it because I'm like, oh, this is cool. It's going to help you farm points. But it kind of doesn't because there's never a time where you're like, oh, I'm going to consistently keep going in the line of sight of this space to have it.
I can see it if it's a very light crow board. We had a very heavy crow board.
Yeah.
So it might take a couple plays to actually see this mechanic work better.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say that. It's not that I don't. It's just for the complexity of this mechanic, I didn't. Mechanism? It's mechanism.
Mechanism,
Yes.
technically.
Technically. Because I know someone on the internet is going to get mad about that. I didn't see it. That's just my personal preference.
Right. Getting a little nitpicky for myself, I think that, yes, it's going to be nice when they increase the size of the cards so that you could accommodate the crow meeples on it. As you saw, they got a little crowded at times when we had rather large murders of crows. I'm kind of worried what that's going to do to table presence on the game. Not table presence, but table real estate on the game. Because there was a few times where it started to get a little big, but never really that bad. But also, we were playing with a little bit fewer cards than you would have, a little bit fewer tiles than a full four-player
But also
game.
think of we're playing sitting side by side. If we were across from a table, and we would have had a lot more space.
Okay. Yeah, point taken.
We played in the view of the camera, so that was our issue.
We have to give ourselves a little bit of an extra limiting factor to make sure that everything's shown off for everyone.
The only other thing I have, which is slightly
Nitpicky?
picky,
There you go.
is, and I like the deluxe version has the coins for the points.
Yeah.
The tokens are just red circles for the most part. I mean, they're like artsy red circles, but they're like would have been cool to see maybe something a little bit more.
A little bit more graphical on
Or
there.
even if these were going to be coins like in the thing, if it was a if these were circle tokens and they would look like coin, like if they used the coin image they had,
Right.
they just made the punch out cardboard, that would have been that could be possibly cool, and that might be something they're doing. I don't know, so I'm just saying. Like all the art is really cool in this game, and then
absolutely,
and then like the point ones are like
they
match.
They're underwhelming compared
to
the rest of it. I would like to circle back for a second and
Yeah.
talk about the.
And David just said that is what they're doing. All right, so
fantastic.
So my little nitpicky thing is,
it's a moot point.
It's a moot point because
I would like to circle back and talk about the queen mechanic.
yes,
I really like that just because it behaved differently than the rest of the crows. Not necessarily that it's worth more points, but that if you're on the the gem
cave?
space,
Yeah.
the gem cave, it will default go for you if it's in the line of sight.
Yes.
I think that that's really cool, and I like the fact that David mentioned that they're going to be introducing a king crow as well, which has a unique movement pattern, and they're going to interact with each other as well.
Yeah.
So I think that that's a nice little additional touch because it makes you think about that extra.
So I just was thinking about the queen.
Yeah.
Think of the queen in chess. It kind of has as far movement as you want.
Yeah.
So, and the king's gonna have 2 space movement instead of 1, but
like chess as well, where it's a limited movement.
it's a limited movement. And they were talking about maybe adding a bishop type of crow.
For diagonals, because right now all the movements are orthogonally in the game.
Question for I don't know if the king and queen are going to be a different shape or not. I know they'll be red probably, or different colors.
Did you have any issues with colors in the game?
The one issue which David mentioned before is the blue and the purple
Obelisk? Yeah.
were very similar to me, but he says they're changing the color blue, so it's going to be a light blue, so it won't be that bad of an issue. And like looking at it now, I can tell the difference. It's just
a little close for comfort.
a little close for there. It's not bad.
So getting into it, is there anything else that you would have liked to have seen a little bit differently in this game? Because I think that I touched on everything that I wanted to talk about.
I did. The crows, there's 2 of them that are a little bit like bigger than the others. I'm being kind of, there's like out of the 2, like 2 of them stand straight up like a kind of meeple, and like there's 2 like wider ones.
Yeah.
They take up more real estate, but it's not
a terrible thing.
No,
especially if they're increasing the real estate of the cards.
That's just kind of a little minor thing.
But
I know they said the spells, they have the names on them. If the reference card they have, we don't have a reference card, has the abilities on it, that's fine.
And again, they talked about including the reference card as well.
As long as it has that, I'm good with that. Because I just sometimes forgot like
what exactly it did.
So I think that's
everything.
Ooh.
So
I have a little point. I know some companies, the punch outs, this is just a tip for David, you can get colored edges.
Oh, that would be neat.
And they do red a lot.
Really?
That would be really cool to see. Especially if they're doing the coins with red edges instead of the cardboard.
That would be neat.
That'd be very cool. I have no idea. That's just my little, here, you can go do that. That would be cool. That's my personal touch to the game.
I like it. So I would like to ask now the most important question of the evening, Josh.
Yeah.
Would you play this again?
Yes. Yeah, and I'd be very interested to see this in a 3 or 4 player game. To see how the mechanics work, because we only
agree.
did. But I really enjoyed this as a 2-player game. This is.
I could definitely see you and I sitting down and playing this head to head again, and I think part of the way we played suffered a little bit because you and I tend to have these really strategic, long thought out battles at times.
Yeah.
And we didn't want to do that for
That's what I was trying to talk about.
Yeah.
And I was also trying to help you at the same time, be like, all right, here's like what I see on the board right now that you can do, because we want to do that. And that's also how I play, like, especially if someone's new or doesn't understand that strategy. At first, it's like, all right, FYI, there's how you get 15 points. Like, you might have something better in your hand. I don't know. I'm pointing out there's a 15-point gain right there, like how it is. But that's also just how I play and the people I play with. But no, I definitely play. How about you, Matt?
I would definitely play this again. I like these, as you were saying, these simpler strategic element games. Like I know we had discussed like Onitama before, and this reminds me kind of that in the terms of the head-to-head, like thought-out strategic process game. And like it's not like it shares the same mechanics, but it's the thought-out process of trying to see what your opponent sees and counteract what they're going to do. And I think that that's a lot of fun to play.
It also has like a very slight, like, I just forgot the term.
Maybe you'll think of it.
Conflict, player conflict.
Oh, okay.
Take that.
Take that mechanic.
Just like, oh, I did this move, and you're just like, no, I'm gonna like
completely blow up your strategy.
Maybe like a possible interesting variant rule. I think it would be interesting is if the first player could play a spell if the second player plays a spell. To kind of counteract it.
Like a reactionary
spell. Like just because like it's strong, and you maybe but you know, that could be a variant roll or something. I don't know how that would play. I don't know how that would test, but that's the only time like I kind of felt disheartened in this game was I did this really cool move, and then you came in and
I blew it up. Yeah,
David just said we had counter spells.
It got weird.
Where I was doing a really good move, and then you just
I think you were gonna get.
And you did the counter I expected, and then you threw a spell on top of it, and it just.
I think you wound up getting 4 points on something you expected to get nearly 20 points out, or something like that. Yeah.
So not a huge like. It was just that was like one part. I was like, oh, that kind of good move on your part, but I just had a huge move that you just destroyed, and that was a very interesting. And having that with 4 players is going to kind of.
I imagine it plays very different with 4 players. All right. So is there anything else you wanted to touch on?
I think that's it.
All right, so thank you all for joining us this evening. This was our honest review section of our spotlight of Tyler Sigman's Crows by Junk Spirit Games. Very excited to play this one. This was a fun game.
Yeah.
Art was beautiful. Just a beautiful game altogether.
Beautiful, good strategy. Like it. This is something I could sit down and play. Like I could even have a drink with it. I don't drink that often, but and just play very casually. It's not. I want to go dig into like a deep Euro or something. It's like very light,
but still strategic.
But still strategic. Yeah. Still enough to make it.
You have to think a little bit.
I think like when someone wants to go do like a crossword or Sudoku puzzle, like you don't want to think too hard, but you want to challenge yourself.
Right. All right. So this was our honest review section. If you haven't had a chance, go check out the video on demand to see our spotlight of the game. Other than that, thank you all for joining us this evening. This is Twist Gaming signing off. I'm Matt.
I'm Josh.
Hope to see you all again soon. Bye-bye.
Good night.